Hello friends, and welcome to tonight's beer review. Still fooling around with the camera settings. Hopefully sooner or later I'll find something that works where I have good video quality with decent sound. So, tonight I will be reviewing Boddington's Pub Ale. Now, this is a fairly interesting beer because it's one of those nitrogen-infused beers like Guinness on the Guinness draft in a can, where instead of having carbon dioxide as part of bottle conditioning or force conditioning, they use nitrogen force conditioned instead to kind of go and create the sort of pouring reminiscence of the traditional British cask ales. And most people say it comes nothing close to a traditional British cask ale, but they're the places where you can get a traditional British hand-pumped cask ale outside of Britain can probably be counted on one or two hands worth of fingers. So Boddington's Pub Ale is from a very old brewery. Let me read the back there here a bit. Since 1778, when it was first brewed at the Strangeways Brewery in Manchester, Boddington's has been renowned as a unique pale gold ale. In English pubs, Boddington's is served using the traditional hand-pulled method which mixes air with the ale as it pours, producing a distinctive creamy head and a smooth body with little gassiness. Ordinarily packaged ale cannot match this system, but the new draft flow system does. By releasing millions of tiny bubbles when opened, draft flow cans give the creamy head an authentic fresh taste of Boddington's Pub Ale. The draft flow system employs a small recyclable device which floats in the ale. So sort of like a Guinness widget. So these are always fun to go and pour out. You can see here, already foaming up. Fuck. Oh goddamn, this is going to be a little bit fucked. Gorgeous though, look at that. Cascading. Spilled a little bit on the floor here, but that's life. Let's see if I can get this up to the camera here. You can see it pours like that Guinness, you know, where that turbulent effect where it looks like the bubbles are going down. If I remember the physics of it correctly, that's because the rising of it in the middle kind of causes a liquid pool along the sides that brings the bubbles down. So as you can see here, it's basically a dark golden ale, just a tinge of amber to it, with of course a thick nitrous head. Now this head kind of lasts. It's just a beautiful thing to look at. I love these this nitrogen heads. They're very thick. Smell is primarily of grains, honey, hints of banana, and sort of a slow metallic off smell to it as well. Beer mustache. Very smooth, very creamy mouthfeel. No carbonation bite at all. Thing about these nitrogen-infused beers is that carbonation is not like, well, carbonation. There's no carbon dioxide in it. So it's a lot smaller bubbles means less bite. And some people don't like it because it comes across as flat. I don't mind it so much. So smooth, creamy, fairly light on the tongue, fairly light on the palate. There's a hint of bitterness, hop bitterness throughout, but it's very light, and you know, it just kind of stays on the tongue a little bit. Very old world. So while the hops are not very intense, it's probably the most primary, the bittering, the European bittering hops, I believe they're probably Fuggle hops, are the primary taste. Not too much dimension to them, just a tiny bit of floralness. Underneath that is a sort of sweet graininess. Not too sweet, just a tad bit of touch of honey to it. Now, the can I've had before, as it warmed up and started getting more and more of that metallic aftertaste I found really nasty. So you probably want to drink this cold as hell, and you know, not let it sit for a while, otherwise the aftertaste kind of starts to ruin the experience. Now, this isn't by any means very complex. So, you know, I believe that this beer probably used to be a lot better in the past. When it was brewed by the original brewer, this is now owned and operated by Anheuser-Busch. You know, so a lot of English beer drinkers have hated what the macro companies have done to the English pub, English beer drinking experience, because they really wrecked it. Unlike Belgium and unlike Germany, England didn't protect its beer, you know, its homegrown beer industry too well. So the macros really smashed it hard, and it's only now starting to recover. And unfortunately, it's not really recovering towards traditional. They're importing American craft beer styles, which I think is kind of nice and kind of bad. I'd really like England to kind of keep up its traditional styles, because nobody is really doing those really classic English pale ales like this one. They're not really doing the extra special bitters. You know, they're not really doing you know, small beers. Here in America, England was a place that don't even do cask ales. So, you know, and that's just me ranting a little bit. I'd really like to go and have the traditional English ale pub, hand-pulled cask ale pub experience. Maybe I will if I ever get a chance to go there. But until then, also as it warms up, it tends to get more of the banana taste too, which is not a bad side effect, but the metallic part is, the metallic aftertaste. So where was I? Oh yeah. So Boddington's Pub Ale. If you like Guinness on draft, you know, that draft in a can, that very smooth nitrous thing, give this a try. Even if you don't like it, I think people should give it a try. Some people probably find it a little bit too close to a macro style and its lack of complexity and, you know, off taste, you know, that sort of metallic macro off taste. But, you know, it's just so different. I really recommend that everybody try it, even if it doesn't blow them away, because, you know, it's a really unique drinking experience, and you can kind of find it almost at anywhere good beer is sold. So, Boddington's Pub Ale. You know, it's interesting. Oh, and it's 4.7 ABV. I know I always say that, but yeah. So it's fairly light too, alcohol-wise as well as mouthfeel-wise. So Boddington's Pub Ale. You know, it's not going to blow you away. It's not even a very good beer, but it is a very different beer. And for that alone, it should be tried. Besides, you know, how often are you going to get that sort of nitrous-infused beer experience, eh? So, that's your beer review for tonight. Cheers.